I'm Michael Heldman, Sheriff of Hancock County. With me is Precious Stubbe, the Director of the Adamhs Board of Hancock County. We're here today to talk about health, and we're talking about mental health. And we want to explain to everyone what resources are available in Findlay and Hancock County. Precious, where does people go in Hancock County to look for resources?
Well, I think considering what we're going through right now with the COVID epidemic, the very best place to access services is a website. It's called Hancock Helps. And on that website, there are all of the traditional services that exist in the community. And then there's a special box that's marked COVID-19, so that if you want to know about if something's open or closed or what's available during this particular time, that would be the place to go.
You know, in the last couple of weeks, we saw a surge in calls in our office for mental health reasons and unfortunately, we've had a number of suicides. What do you think people that are having thoughts in that regard, what should they do?
Well, if you're an individual struggling, first of all, please know that there are services available. The services that were available before COVID-19 are available now. They're being delivered a little bit differently. So you may have heard of telehealth or telemedicine. There are a lot of services that are being provided over video conferencing, but they are available. So I would suggest the first thing is, if you are someone who's struggling and you are already connected to an organization, call the regular number and follow whatever directions that they have to say. If it's an emergency situation, don't ever be afraid to call the hotline or 911.
And we have services, you know, with our dispatchers, they're trained to take those type of calls as well.
That's correct. And I would just say, if you are worried about someone, I think one of the biggest myths, particularly about suicide, is if I ask about it, it will cause it to happen. And that indeed is a myth. So if you do think someone is struggling, please reach out. Ask them how they're doing. And if they aren't doing well or tell you they aren't doing well, encourage them to get the help that they need.
You mentioned COVID ID, and this is something that everybody's listening to, and sometimes to some people, it's becoming very overwhelming. And it's on the news, it's wherever you turn. You can't go outside, you're only supposed to have limited exposure to people. And I know people are really used to being around people, maybe at work or social or whatever it might be. What do you recommend to people that are constantly watching the news and really dwelling on this serious event that we're into?
Well, you do need to know limits and step away. So when I myself, from listening to the news and that kind of stuff, sometimes I was just like, okay, I've had my fill. I need to step away from doing that. I think the first thing is for everybody to recognize that this indeed is a trauma event. And so we're all being traumatized by this in one way or another. And so we really need to take some of the lessons from what we know about trauma to figure out how can we be resilient. And so there are a few things about that. One is, people need to know that whatever they're feeling, that's their feeling. You just need to validate people's feelings. So I can't say, you shouldn't feel that way. Some people will be angry, some will be sad, some will be scared. The feeling is what it is, and we need to validate that people have those feelings, help them talk through those feelings, and then help them really assess what they can and cannot control, and try and have them focus on the things they can control.
In the last 24 hours, we've heard from the governor and also the president that has said that we should remain in our homes for the next 30 days. And be self-quarantined and try not to go out. But we know people are going out and they're doing things that they probably shouldn't be doing, or they're going as a group to the grocery store or to shopping or something like that. What do you recommend people do?
I would just beg of people, please heed the warnings and follow the instructions, because you may feel fine and you may be a carrier and innocently be giving it to someone else. So please do what you can. We all can do something with this epidemic. And the one thing we can all do is pay attention to the warnings and do what they're asking us to do. Physically distance ourselves. Wash our hands as often as we can. Cough in our sleeve. Really abide by the simple rules that they are putting out there. It's not just for your safety, it's also for the safety of the people you love and the community at large.
That's true. Even ourselves today, we're sitting here 6 feet apart. Normally, we're good friends, and we would normally sit closer, but we are doing our part in staying 6 feet apart. And I guess I would say from the law enforcement side, if you do go out, we're not going to arrest you. We may talk to you about if there's a group of you together and tell you to maybe kind of refrain from doing some of the things you're doing. But at this point, there's things that we can do, and we're going to keep working with the public and do the best we can to get ourselves through this event that we're going through.